me see. Oh, it must be a typo, just a letter Q. Quincy, Quinton, I didn't, you know. So in any case, I didn't go. And a week later, I got a call from my agent and said, "You didn't go to that audition?" And I said, "No." And she said, "Well, you should go. There's a producer who keeps calling for you." So I said, "Well, if you can make the audition at lunchtime, I will be able to go," which is an hour, and I thought that I could make it. I went there, I took a look at the material for a few minutes, and I went in and I auditioned. I walked out and there was a man who followed me out, tall, big guy, put his hand on my shoulder and he said, "You make my words sound better than they are."
Wow.
And I said, "Oh, well, you must be the writer." He said, "I'm Gene Roddenberry." He said, "I think we're going to be seeing more of you." And I gave him that sort of, "This ain't my first barbecue." Okay. And now I've got to get back to rehearsal. There was another guy who, a few paces away, stopped me at the door to get out into the studio. And he said, "This is a payback." I'm like, "What? This is a strange audition." "This is a payback." And I said, how's that?" And he said, "About 6 years ago, I was in the hospital with a quadruple bypass operation, and you made me laugh when I thought I was going to die." Now I knew what he was going to say next. "Every day at around 1 o'clock, I used to watch you on Days of Our Lives." And I thought if I ever had a chance, I would give, if I ever, made it through this, I went through this alive, I would give you a chance. And his name was Leonard Maislish, and he was Gene Roddenberry's attorney. And he was the one who had said, "Oh, bring in this Lancie guy." So they then went on, I'll make this just more, since you're asked, Granted. I said, "Well, when are you shooting?" He said, they're going to want to use you." And I said, "Oh, great. So when are you shooting?" He said, "Whatever it was, in 6 weeks." And I said, "Oh, that's too bad. I'm going to be in Japan with this play. I won't be able to do it." And he said, "Well, this is going to be a really important thing." And I said, "Well, I understand that, but if I get out of the job with them, what if in the next 6 weeks something better than yours comes around and I..."
You're so hard to get.
And he said, "Well, I'll tell you what, let's see what we can do." And then, a couple of days later, they came back and they said, "We will change your shooting schedule so that we shoot for a month. We will put you with the last 2 weeks, but that's as far as we can go, and you have to be back. It's ready to shoot on Monday." I said, "Okay, let me see if that works with my schedule." And for the first time, I actually looked at when it was that I was performing in Tokyo. My last show was Sunday. Well, that's exactly what I did. I went, "Oh, well." And my wife went, "Oh, wait a minute. When do you get out on Sunday?" I said, "Well, it's a matinee show." She said, "Well, will you get out by around 5 o'clock?" And I said, "Yeah." She said, "You know what? There's a 7 o'clock plane that'll take off from Tokyo on Sunday," and I still haven't figured out quite how this works. "But you'll get back in Los Angeles Saturday night." And there I was on Monday, up on that crane, falling asleep between shots, jet lagged beyond dream, but in any case, the rest is history.
Mr. DeLancey.
When they want you, they really want you,
Mr. DeLancey, did your character as Eugene Bradford on Days of Our Lives help you prepare better for the Q character?
My character on Eugene, as Eugene, I was hired, sight unseen, I had been a contract player at Universal. And after 2 years, which was the extent, I got out of my contract. I went back into the theater. And then I came back to Hollywood. And one of the people who had moved over to Days of Our Lives had been at Universal, and she called me up and she said, they need a wacko. So I thought of you, John. Do you want to do this? Never in a million years had I ever thought of being in a soap opera. It was not what I was trained to do. It's not, I had never seen a soap opera. Really, I mean, you know, we thought of it as being really lowbrow. So in any case, I took a look at the soap about 2 or 3 days before shooting, and I looked at it and I thought to myself, well, what they want is a psycho, but what they need is a comedian. Everything was so sort of, I don't know, just serious and stuff like that. So in any case, I thought, well, I could rectify, I mean, I can rationalize that. I can play a psycho, but he's got a sense of humor. So after 5 days, which was the run of my time there, I finished off, and I remember the big star at the time was Deidre Hall, and we're doing a scene, she and I, and you know, and she's sort of kind of doing like this and what have you, and I knew, I had already been told that she's really difficult, and stuff like that. So in any case, we're doing the scene, and she's sort of pretending like she's not really paying attention, and we're supposed to be having dinner together, and I've kidnapped her, and you know, all this type of stuff. I grabbed the Jell-O, I opened up her blouse, I put it in her blouse, and I went like that, and it blew out, and she went, whoa! And I'm hearing in the booth, in the control booth, which you cannot hear through a control booth, I'm hearing laughter, you know? I'm then grabbing her and I go, hey, listen, you better make that phone call, and then, you know, a switchblade comes out and I go, and I'm making up these lines, they're just coming out, I go, or I'm gonna stick you with the big fella. In any case, after 5 days of that sort of shenanigans, I'm walking out to my car. It's the end of shooting, whatever, a Friday, whatever it is. And the producers come out and they said, we have to figure out a way for you to come back. And I said, well, that's going to be difficult. I am a kidnapping, pedophile, crazy, I don't know, you've got yourself in a real corner. How you're going to bring me back, I don't know, but give me a call, and it's a soap, right? And so yeah, I had a great time doing that soap. It was a time when actors were not scared about their jobs, when producers had the job and they were not scared about it. We had very sort of archetypal characters and actors on the show. They were big personalities. And we all spread it about and carried on, and we laughed and laughed and laughed. And I left the show after 3 years, which was I wanted to create a grub stake and then move on. And which is what I did, and I stuck to it. But I was told that about 2 years later, management changed and things began to get tougher and harder and more serious again and more poopy. People went back to being poopy again, and so it was a great time for me, and I learned an awful lot. And they would say, you know, to Arlene and I, we're running 2 minutes short. Do anything you want. And wonderful directors who had directed on one of them started off with Ernie Kovacs, your show, and then Ernie Kovacs, and then your show shows and stuff like that.